Hi, and welcome back to everybody to the 4th episode of WalkerTalks, our podcasts. I'm honored and privileged to have this professional sitting beside me, Miss Ulya Jensen of Jensen Interiors and Design. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you. It's exciting to be here.
Thank you for agreeing to come on our show and giving us your valuable time. So, full disclosure, I've known you for a while.
It has been a while, yes.
And I consider you a friend.
I do too.
Yeah.
Yes, I do too.
A little bit of background about Ulya. This is what I know, and then she's going to fill you in. Just a super ultra successful interior designer.
Thank you. Wow.
I'm setting that bar high. I've been doing it for close to 20 years.
Yes, yeah.
Been on your own for close to 20 years. I just grew up, or was born in Montreal. Maybe, I know it's a wide fill in there, but maybe you want to tell us a little bit about yourself.
Wow, that is that. Okay, buckle up. Here we go.
Yeah. We only have a certain amount of time.
Okay, right. Okay. Just, reel me in if you have to.
Yeah.
So I didn't originally want to be an interior designer. I went to university to be an actress. And after 2 years, I suddenly had this light bulb go off that I wanted to be an interior designer. So I called my dad and I said, Dad, I'm going to leave school. I know I've only done 2 years, but I want to be an interior designer. And he was like, I don't know what that is, and I do not support this. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, fine, I'll move in with my sister Heidi here in Ottawa. And he says, I support her too. And I'm like, oh, shoot. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then my mom gets on the phone and says, you must not stand in her way. Mm-hmm. She knows. Mm-hmm. My UK mom.
Mom's, okay, yeah.
She's a Brit.
I sense that.
Yeah. And fast forward, so I move in with my sister here in Ottawa. I take design part-time, and I take a sales rep job, mm-hmm. which has been invaluable mm-hmm. in what I do today. Mm-hmm. It's like if I had known any better, I couldn't have planned that. Mm-hmm. And when I was there, I started my own part-time business as I was doing design, et cetera, and I used to help with, okay, let's redo the cafeteria here at work. I'll go to your house on the weekend. So I was doing a lot of that. And one of my colleagues said, HGTV is doing this designer superstar challenge. You got to do it. And I said, oh, you're really sweet. No, I can't, whatever. Anyways, they begged me to make a video and submit it. And I got shortlisted to the top 10 in Canada. So I was like, wow, this is awesome. Yeah. So then I ended up getting chosen as one of the participants. They came to Ottawa, did a bunch of videoing, blah, blah, blah. And doing that show really kicked off my career because I came in second in that Superstar Challenge. So I moved to Toronto. I was there for about 3 weeks, and they put us through all these challenges, and then they kind of kick you off the island if your design mm-hmm. didn't make it, to type of thing. And so I came in second. And it was one of the first times that that TV and sort of the online world merged, because they ran this like popularity contest, like watch the Superstar Challenge and vote who you like the best. So I got voted as the favorite designer.
Well, of course.
And so when I came back to Ottawa, people were recognizing me, like I'd be out on a date and someone would say, oh, are you Ulya? And it really gave me the confidence to say, you know what, this is it. I'm going full time with my business. I'm just going to do it. I'm doing it. Mm-hmm. And so,
let me get you on one thing that you said. What was the light bulb moment? Like when you were 15, 16, 17 years old, did you have interest in placing things?
Always.
Always.
What
moment was it? Why did you say, okay, acting's not working out, and that's where I want to go down? Do you remember?
Well, yes, I do actually, because I went to Bishop's University, and I was in a sorority, and we do book drives all the time mm-hmm. to raise money for the local children's schools. And I used to do this thing that I called drive-by design. So we'd be snowing like crazy. We'd be going door to door, and I'd be like, okay, that house needs black shutters. That door should be red. Yeah. What is with that siding? Yeah. And the girls loved it. We'd laugh our heads off, and we'd call it drive-by design, but it was really the book drive. Yeah. And I just was like, what am I doing? I love this. Yeah. And then And then that was it.
Yeah. And then the other thing was your job at Learning Tree, sales, invaluable. Explain why was that invaluable?
Well, it teaches you to ask questions, figure out the need, and sell it. So price it, sell it, talk about the price, close it, get the deposit, move on. And it's funny, I get phone calls from a lot of parents in the city saying, my daughter's thinking of going to Algonquin for design. Like, I just wanted to get your view on like, what's it going to be like? And I said, well, what it's going to be like is they need to be a salesperson because you're talking to people about their home, something that's very personal to them, something that reflects who they are. And it's going to cost some money. And so if you're not comfortable with talking about all those things, you may want to take small engine repair.
You know what's interesting though is I think that sales, that word sales has such a bad, it can have a bad connotation.
Yeah.
Oh, you're in sales. I don't know if you're necessarily, our job. Oh, you're a realtor. Oh, you're in sales. I think.
You're a consultant.
I'm a consultant, but I think we're in the listening business, right?
Oh,
if
you have to
you're
be.
just in the listening business.
Yeah.
And we're kind of going away, but full disclosure, I had Ulya, we were going to do my kitchen. And so I've worked with you in the past, whether sent clients or saw some of your before and after stuff. But I had I had front row seat to the way that you work, which, I mean, kudos to you. No pressure tactics.
No, gosh, no.
A total feed off energy. Like, you have a lot of energy. So every time we're around each other, my energy level comes up because you bring that out of you, which is
nice.
Which is excellent. And so it's a compliment. But you came into my house, and it's a kitchen renovation, and you just observed. You observed the way that I lived.
Yeah.
I remember you made a comment on my hats I had.
Yeah, they're very neat.
Right? And but
color-coded.
Right. But you were observant, and you weren't like, this is what you got to do.
Nope.
This is what you got to do. And then you asked these questions. How do I live? Where do you see yourself? What are you doing? Take me through your day.
Well, it's the way to get to the end result, right? You have to listen to how people function in their home, how they live in their home, and you also have to be able to develop trust and gain, like develop a rapport to gain their trust. Because if they don't like you and they don't trust you, you're going nowhere fast. And so it's very important to me to get to know somebody. But I have always had that ability to quickly do that, to quickly kind of disarm people. I'll go on an appointment and husband and wife team will be there and they're both kind of nervous. And within, 10 minutes, the husband will be like, yeah, I'm good. I'm just going to go now. Like, I trust this girl. I know this is going to be fine. Take it away, ladies.
So if you look at it, maybe the 2 years of acting helped. Maybe, because you have to roll, you have to read the room.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you read me to
Yeah.
know the way I was. I mean, first and foremost, how long was this process going to take and how much was it going to affect my life?
Yeah.
Those were, you could just feel those needs coming out of me.
You were standing like a piece of rebar. You were so stressed about the whole thing. So I knew
Yeah.
I had to be gentle.
No, that was fun.
And then COVID hit. So
yeah. So great segue. So talk a little bit about how that has changed the business and your business.
Yeah. So everyone knows the word supply chain because we all saw the ships in the harbor and the tanks and the containers that couldn't go anywhere. So that has certainly gotten a lot better. But what hasn't gotten a lot better is simple things like, in order for a faucet to be put together, you've got all these people on the the conveyor belt of assembling the parts. Well, a lot of those jobs, people retrained during COVID. So they're doing other things now because they couldn't go into work, they couldn't physically do that, and so they didn't. And so they don't have people to make a lot of the stuff. So if it's not gonna even get into the truck, then if the truck's gonna be on time, it's kind of irrelevant. And so I find things take a lot longer because it takes longer for things to get built, it takes longer for them to get shipped, it takes longer for people to get back to you. And so it's been a tough adjustment for me because I'm like Rubik's Cube of organization. And if I can't relay information that I've got, then the person who I'm handing it off to, like the baton, they can't do their job. And so the timelines are definitely longer. Timelines are definitely longer.
And so, like I was saying to you, I have a client they're starting a renovation. They said, yeah, it's going to be done in 12 weeks. And I said, well, really? And their appliances took a year to order. Of
course, yeah.
But they said, no, flooring is in, contractor's ready. I don't anticipate any delays. Do you still believe that, or?
Well, I always say, before anybody swings any hammer, doing any demo, everything that you need should be in your garage. All your flooring, all your tile, all your plumbing, everything should be in your garage. And that is the best way to do your part in making sure things are successful. Mm-hmm. And then it's just how long things take to happen. Something could happen. Even if you're ready, mm-hmm. something could happen with the trades. Mm-hmm. Oh, someone gets COVID. He can't come for a week. Oh, mm-hmm. now that's delayed. So now we've got to push off the quartz. And so people really have to be patient and know that it is going to take longer.
And that's an adjustment for them because they're used to ordering. It comes in. It gets shipped to them, contractor installs this and that. Now they're pre-ordering everything. Now it's sitting in their garage. Yeah. And now that's a monetary adjustment.
I've always done it that way. Mm-hmm. I've always said to people, okay, we're going to plan it because the kitchen's going to take 10, 15 weeks to build. Mm-hmm. So once that kitchen's ready, we want to go. So mm-hmm. we've got 15 weeks. Let's go. Let's mm-hmm. get everything ready to go.
Mm-hmm. Do you see this changing?
Not that way, because it makes it more fun. Mm-hmm. No one wants a phone call in the middle of the night saying, I need a toilet tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Nobody wants that.
Yeah. That's interesting. So let's talk, it's a real estate podcast. Let's talk a little bit about real estate. And you see it, you're in the industry. Mm-hmm. You see it from one side. You're a homeowner also. I know your husband, great guy.
Yes, thank you.
John.
Thank you.
And you're an investor. So what do you think about the market?
Well, I think right now people are a little bit hesitant. They're kind of doing a little bit of a pause and they're listening to how the economy is going to unfold. They need to determine whether or not they're going to still continue to work remotely. Like, that's been a huge thing that's kind of shaken things up. But you know what? I almost think it's a good thing to have a little bit of a pause. Because then you do things that are really right for you, mm-hmm. right? Like, do you really want to live downtown? Mm-hmm. Maybe you really do. Mm-hmm. Maybe you really want to, have that kind of buzz on the weekends. Or maybe you want to head out to the country. So, people are still hiring me to do things. Certainly my clientele's age has shifted to a little bit younger.
Okay, that was a good. So, and what brought that shift on, you think?
I think seeing everything online, yeah. So the younger kids, as I like to call them, kind of want it all, want it now. Yeah. So they're buying their first house and calling it their forever home.
Yeah. Yeah.
Talk to me in 5 years. Yeah. But, and so they wanted...
Or talk to me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They want to do it all.
Yeah.
They want to do it all. And they see all the Instagram moments and they see, the new kitchen so-and-so just did. So they kind of want it all. And so the level of renovation I'm doing for the younger kids is crazy. Like, the whole house. Mm-hmm. We want the whole house changed. Mm-hmm. We bought a house in Beacon Hill. Mm-hmm. We want the whole house changed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Different from maybe a bathroom.
Yeah, different from let's basement. Move in and see how it goes.
Yeah.
Let's see if this kitchen works for us. That's the way we would do it. Yeah. Like, let's kind of see, like you did. You were in the house for a while. You're like, kitchen's not working for me. Yeah. I want to open things up.
Whenever I work with clients, from observation, when we go into a house, I find that their eyes will go to, husbands and the wives are usually kind of sometimes different, but generally the eyes will go to light fixtures, will go to hardware, will go to
the pretty stuff.
And that's when we're prepping a house for sale.
Yeah.
People are often like, do I do the kitchen? Do I do the bathroom? I always say, no, it wouldn't be my suggestion because you're not going to get a dollar for dollar back and you don't know what that buyer wants, right? And the last thing you want to do is do those things, move-in date, it's on the curb because they're doing their own thing because maybe Jen whatever is going to come in and just hire you and demolish it all.
Yeah.
Take me through what you think, because you do this for a living. Generally, what do people look at when they walk into a home? What would you think?
Well, kitchens and bathrooms.
Yeah.
Because those are two areas that you use incredibly much. Mm-hmm. Like, lots of traffic in both of those areas. The rest you can kind of fix with your own furnishings, your own light fixtures, your own paint colors. But if a kitchen is well appointed and done, people will buy the house for the kitchen. And so once you've been in a home and you've lived in it for a while and it needs a kitchen renovation, I say get it done, because you don't want to all of a sudden have to move and the kitchen isn't done. And then you're stuck thinking, like you just said, do I put 40 grand into it and head out and hope I get it? You may as well put it in, enjoy it. And then when it's time to move, and if you've had a good designer who's kept the design nice and classic, Steve, people are going to love that kitchen and think you did it yesterday.
Yeah. Do you find that with that the kids these days,
yeah,
with the Instagram and and that internet thing, do you find that, their tastes are different than the elder? And that's an obvious answer, but I'm looking at some of your work that you've done. There was a house on Ruskin in Civic Hospital, where old house.
Yeah.
So marrying the old and the new for somebody that is, I can't imagine getting ahead of that, right? So how do you even approach
I love that.
the old and the new?
You have to respect the year of the house and the look of the house. Like there's no point taking a really old house and putting stainless steel and glass everywhere, because it's never going to feel right. And so you have to respect the bones of the home. And so if you enter and do a classic design, classic is so timeless, classic will go forever, and then sort of tweak it based on what the client likes. But you just have to you have to be able to marry the worlds. And I love marrying the worlds, because that's kind of how everybody lives, right? Like you don't buy new shoes every single day. You don't buy a new coat or a new car every single day. But how do you keep current? Well, let's buy a new belt. Or you know what? I'm going to dye my hair. So how do you do that same sort of thing with your house? And if I have a little rhyme that I always say, if it's too ornate, it's going to date. So if you're thinking, do I want the edge of my countertop to have a really scrolly design, or do I keep it a little sleeker? What do you think? Sleeker?
I think sleek.
You're right, Steve.
I like the sleek. Yeah.
Gold star for you.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sleek on my countertops.
Yeah.
So what would have that? Do you find hesitation on that younger generation hiring a designer? Do you find that do they see? I don't say they see value, because I look at, you get to a certain age. Not that I'm dating myself, but you get to a certain age where you don't want to search that anymore. You kind of want it. Like, look, we're in real estate. There's people that choose to sell their house on their own because they whether it's a trust factor, or they just feel that they're going to do a better job. So there's hesitation on hiring a professional and all of that stuff. I gotta believe it's the same thing. That's why Home Depot and Lowe's and everybody exist, right? The aisles that go down and try and.
Yeah.
And so, how do they overcome that, or how do they finally see the light and say, you know what, what's that process?
And you're right, with every generation has that. They have like every age will have people who think they know, people who know enough to know they don't know, or people who are like, I know I don't know, but I'm going to do it anyway. Right? You have those sort of three schools of people. And I think people, it's really realizing that you don't know what you want. You don't know what you want, and you don't want to waste your money. So you want somebody's opinion that's going to guide you to where you need to go before you spend money on it. Could be like a sofa, right? Like I have people calling me saying, I just want you for 1 hour because I'm buying some new furniture and I just want you to tell me what I should get. Let me come to your place. Great. And I still do those appointments because I think it's important to get the right information to make the right choice.
I think in some sense, just like it would be in our business, until you meet that person that provides the value to you, you're going to think that you can do it on your own.
Yeah,
right?
You always do.
But there's things, I can speak to your eyes and experience as that a homeowner would never even know, will probably make the less expensive decision and then have to change it again, or have somebody like yourself come in after the fact. And, you're too classy to say who did that, but you would say, maybe we want to consider this.
It's tough too, because it's not always they're making a decision for like based on price. Like sometimes it's something super expensive that wasn't right, and that makes you feel even worse because you're like, oh my God, that was so much money. It's being able to recognize the IP, I guess, the intellectual property. Like there's a reason people like Pete McCallum from the Whalesbone hires me every time he wants to do a project, because he knows that he's going to get, an end result that's going to make him happy and make people happy and want to go to his establishments. Like it's recognizing that I've got to know something. There's a reason she's been in business for 20 years in this city. She's got to know something.
Well, probably too, by observation, is that it's the simplest little things, right? So yes, the product, yes, the design, yes, the vision, but I think probably one of your mission statements would be that you just deliver what you say you're going to deliver. You don't
100%.
overpromise. So,
No.
you whatever you say you're going to do, you're doing. And that is, I don't think there's a lot of that out there, right?
You got to communicate too, because just like I would want to know, like I want to know how much things cost. I want to know how long it's going to take. I want to know what pitfalls there might be. I want to know in advance. And because, a good chunk of my job is project management, doing it, you might do one kitchen every 15 years. Well, I do 15 kitchens in a year. And so you've got to learn from that experience. And, I know this is coming up, so let's circumvent that, make sure that doesn't happen. And I mean, that sort of skill is invaluable. And that doesn't even touch what the visual is, right?
You mentioned, some of Whalesbone, right? You mentioned, I should mention, if you went on her website, you would see some of her projects and they're phenomenal. Speak to Whalesbone a little bit, if you can. Take me through that. Take me through how you got that opportunity and then the finished product.
Well, I'm very good friends with Pete McCallum now. Pete McCallum is the owner of all those restaurants. But I got to know Pete just by visiting his establishments with friends. We would always go the first Friday of every month. That was sort of our standing thing that we would do. And we just got to be such good friends. So when he started to need things, and as he was expanding restaurants and whatever, he would say, can you come and help me? And so I put a lounge in at the Whalesbone on Elgin Street. The front section used to be sort of a grab and go, but they decided they wanted more permanent seats there. So I did a whole kind of lounge section there. I helped with the retail store on Kent Street. And then before they actually bought the building for Harmon's Steakhouse downtown, they had me in to walk through. We'd been through a few different buildings. I was like, this isn't it, this isn't it, this is it, this is it.
So do you think, like, if you looked at your career as the evolution of it from when you started your show, then residential, a little bit of commercial, and was it all building up to the Harmons? Is that a fair assessment?
I think so, yeah. That was the largest project I've done.
Because that is a huge project, and that is an incredible project. And I would say by seeing and witnessing and hearing it, it's almost as though you were an artist, right?
Oh, yes.
And that is, and more will come from that. But tell me about that one.
Well, so it's a heritage building. And as we were walking through it used to be the Fox and Feather. So it was literally like burgundy and forest green and thrown up all over that place. And not a thing had been touched, like not a thing. And so it was really a blank slate.
Watering hole.
Yeah. And so instantly I'm like, okay, it's heritage. So we need to keep a nod to the past. We don't want to change that because that's what's so beautiful about that building is all the brick, all the moldings. Like it's awesome. So keeping that, we just need to freshen it up. So it needs to be current colors. It needs to be current flooring, et cetera, et cetera. And just by the sheer layout of it, it was decided that we were going to do 2 restaurants. So there's 2 restaurants in there. There's a steakhouse upstairs and there's Abby's downstairs. So it used to be a school for the lumber barons' kids who worked on the Ottawa River, and it was called Miss Harmon's, and her name was Abby. So they've called the steakhouse Harmon's and the lounge downstairs Abby's. And
that's really cool.
I wanted Abby's to have a little bit more of an urban feel because it's right on the street. There's cool glass doors that open up onto the street, so it could have a little bit more of an urban feel. And then upstairs has an old world steakhouse feel but it feels like it's in your living room. And anytime I tour people, and I should be a tour guide because that's basically all I do these days is tour people through Harmons. And the reaction is always the same from the guys and the girls. They're always like, it feels like I've been here before. I just want to stay here and hang out. And it's so beautiful.
That's awesome. Is it overwhelming for you to sit down for dinner with John and be like, I did this. I had a lot to do with this.
It's funny. I was there on Tuesday, and it was the first time I was super relaxed when I was there, because I still get the sense, because it was a project. It was during COVID. It was my team, but there was 5 other teams that I didn't know in there. I was the only woman. I was the only woman there, but I have a pretty strong will, and so it was fine.
Can I cut you there?
Yeah,
you said I was the only woman there twice. So is that so you had to battle because there's a little bit of...
There was some mansplaining going on.
Some testosterone in there?
Okay. A little bit of mansplaining. I'm like, okay, I've done that before, so I know.
Yeah.
So it was just, there was a lot of moving parts, not just my moving parts, but a lot of moving parts. And then we'd be shut down because of COVID. Or then, the inspector would come through and somebody wasn't wearing their hard hat. So it was crazy. Like everyone was wearing construction boots, hard hats, and masks. Like I didn't know who anybody was. It was like minions bumping into, who are you? Oh, excuse me. Oh, pardon me. Like no idea who the hell anybody was.
Yeah.
But for the first few times I visited there, I'm still thinking, oh my gosh, I've got to do something. Something needs to change, or oh, that picture's crooked. But now I'm just kind of like, yeah. Nice. And it's the seeing people's faces when they walk around. We show them the wine lockers and the cool private room that you have to go through the kitchen to get to, and all those sorts of things. They feel it's an experience.
Yeah, it's very much that's interesting because your end result I think so many things people think of interior design, they think of the way it looks. But that's what I was commenting about when you're in my house and we were assessing my kitchen. You were looking as the way it's feel.
Oh yeah.
And I think the average, maybe the person doesn't think of the way it makes you feel versus huge. that looks really nice over there, but it's uncomfortable. Yeah. Or it feels really cold in here, but it looks nice. Yeah. Right. Ready for pictures, but yeah.
I always say. It's got to function properly, because of it, you can make anything look good. But if it doesn't function properly, and every day you're walking around the corner and your hip is hitting the counter, that's not good. Yeah. So you need to, what do I want to feel like when I'm in here? How are things going to flow? Where's traffic coming from? Where's traffic going? That you have to figure that out first.
Yeah. And probably a lot of through the years of learning, right? Probably not. I don't want to say use the word mistakes, but probably some changes you had to go here, and you learn from everyone, and continuing to probably do that, right?
I think everybody should be continuing to learn and to hone their craft, no matter what it is.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think that's right. Okay. No, that was great.
Wow.
That was a lot. That was a lot.
That was a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was good though.
I think so.
I think.
Yeah. No, thanks for joining us.
Oh my gosh, my pleasure.
Do you have any questions for us?
Well, I'm always curious, like what people, like what you think might be intimidating to hire an interior designer, or what is something about doing a renovation that scares you?
Me or the people in general? Me?
Sure, you.
Me, I think it's being vulnerable to the process, to the contractor taking a hammer to my house and not being handy, being unable to put it back together. I think there's a little bit, and if you've had bad experiences in your life, and I have with contractors and with the process, and it's out of your control. And if you're somebody who likes a little bit of control, handing that control over to yourself or to a contractor or to whomever, I think there's that aspect of it. I think there's sometimes people will just strictly look at dollars and just, am I going to hire that person? Why don't I hire that person when I go to chapters and the top row is magazines? I can do it on my own. Yeah. Or why don't I just YouTube a bunch of stuff? it's the same thing with our industry. So I'm just speaking from myself. And that's why I was asking about the younger generation, because there's so much Instagram.
Yeah. Yeah, there is so much Instagram, but to see something and to execute it is very different. You know, having one of the things that I do is I've created really good partnerships with other professionals in the city, plumbing professionals, construction professionals, you know, people who sell tiles and countertop. And so that relationship that I've developed and maintained and nurtured with these people will add so much to a project. And you don't have that going in blind from a picture, right? You haven't spent 15 years making sure that the person you use to purchase all your plumbing fixtures through is not only going to deliver the product, but is going to service it, be behind you, be communicative, give you a fair deal. Like all those things are a reason to hire an interior designer.
And you know, how much is your time worth, right? And that's where I think
For
you get older, you realize that I would maybe rather be doing that and forget the trust issue, but I'd rather just, you know, and so I think that's maybe the struggle, but I witnessed it firsthand. I can see the value. And I think, you know, with a resume like Harmon's, Whalesbone, I can go on our website and look at all of the stuff. Plus I think you know, it's like when you sit down with the husband and the wife, and the husband checks out after 10 minutes. He's like, okay, it's a trust thing. And you know.
For sure. Yeah.
And I think it's an energy thing. I think if you're sitting in there and you're kind of slow talking, but if somebody's excited, and even after 20 years, I can tell that you love your job.
I'm passionate about it, for sure.
And you would love any opportunity. So it's not like, a little 600 square foot condo or an old farmhouse in the middle of nowhere. I think all of it, you love the challenge.
Absolutely.
And I think people would see that, right?
For sure. For sure. I totally agree. Yeah. I have an emotional connection to it. Yeah. Like I just love it.
Yeah. Which is awesome. Yeah. Okay. That was great. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. If anybody has any comments, or would like to contact Ulya directly, we'll leave all that stuff for you on a link. And thanks for joining.
Thank you, Steve.
That was so much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll do it again.
Okay.